Hey,
Hello. So good to be here with you. We have
yes.
been talking about this for a while, and we were thinking of doing something in person at your in person studio, but we were just eager to get it on the calendar. So here we are virtually, and we will be together in person, I trust, this year, later this
Oh,
year.
I know it. I know we will be in some capacity, maybe multiple capacities. So I'm super excited about that.
I'm so excited too. So
You
this
have
is
so many fun things coming up.
so many. So can you talk to me a little bit about what you have coming up in 2025 and what led you to what you're doing in 2025? Like, let's just dive right for it for the sake of
Okay,
time. We're popping in.
we're going for it.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got tons of things. We've got the retreats coming up. My book is around the corner and just taking everything to the next level and getting things to be even more unreasonable, my theme
I know. I
is
love your theme.
where can I go? What can I do? How can I tap into more of the unreasonable? And that is the drive. And what has brought me to this point is actually just taking a whole bunch of unreasonable actions and decisions that everybody was like, this is insane, or that's not going to happen, or be careful. And then I was like, no, we're jumping.
Mm. Okay. I love that. So, because I know you used to be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And similarly, for your audience, I came from the science background as well. I was studying clinical kinesiology, went into the physiotherapy realm, and it was just not enough for me. Like, I was like you, I need something more unreasonable, something that feels way more holistic. And it's crazy because we were in holistic, like
Yeah.
those industries were holistic, but it's like there are levels to the game. So when you're saying like you took these unreasonable steps, can you give us some examples? Like what are you talking about?
Yes. Okay. I want to come back to this idea of how we were both in holistic care and how, like, small that was when it comes down to holistic as the big consciousness. And I think that was a step. I'm curious how you feel about that too. But let's dive into some unreasonable crap that I've done in my life to get me to this point. Well, I started with $300 in my bank account in a brand new town, and I was like, I guess we're building a business. And the way that that came about was because the chiropractor that I was working with, I was in her office for a little bit. She basically gave me a 30-day notice and was like, you can leave or you can become my employee. And I was like, definitely not become your employee. And she
Mm.
thought I was just going to move back to where I came from, which is the Bay Area, Northern California. And then I was like, all right, we've got $300. We're about to start a business. And so I built that whole thing. That was probably not the first unreasonable thing that I did, but one of the more crucial things, especially in my
Mm.
journey. Getting
Yeah.
divorced from in a relationship that seemingly everything was fine. Like from the outside, it looked fine. I wasn't getting cheated on. I wasn't being abused or anything. It just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. And then jumping into things that I had no idea what the heck I was doing. Buying this house that I live in was an absolute unreason. Like, did not tell my financial advisor or my accountant because I know what they would say. I was like, this is what we're doing. This is what
Yeah.
I'm desired. This is what my heart wants, and I'm just gonna jump in and do this thing, and then figure it out along the way, right?
Wow. I love it.
So,
And it sounds like you're just taking like, as my community knows this language, like you're just being unfuckwithable. You're just being the main character. This is my book, Unfuckwithable, as you know. It's like
let's
you're
talk
just,
about that.
yeah, it's like you're just owning it. You're just, this is what I need to do. And you're not placing your power outside of you. You're not asking for permission. I want to know how many years ago was it that you started your own business, got divorced? Like, are we talking within a few years? Are we talking within like a decade? Like where, so that
Yeah.
our audience can kind of catch a vibe.
Yeah, that's a good point because I don't want anybody to think that this is an overnight
Well, that's what I want to get clear.
Yeah, because this is I call it every single time I have quantum leaped, right? Which there
Yeah.
is some level of collapsing time and making sure things are happening in a shorter period of time. But overall, I mean, I started my very first business, the business I'm referring to, the chiropractic business. Gosh, this is aging myself, probably 20 years ago.
Mm.
About a handful of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I got divorced. A year ago, I bought this house, and a whole bunch of little and big jumps along the way too. But these are
Mm.
sort of the big things. And, part of it is looking back and really recognizing, which is this conversation we're having, like, how far did I come? You know,
Mhm.
there was a time I was 16 years old and didn't speak a word of English. And now I
Mm.
travel all over the world and speak on international stages. Like, it's insane.
Wow. It's so inspiring. It's so beautiful. And I love to use a timeline, even though we know as human beings, we're perceiving time as linear so that we can relate to one another and,
Yeah.
you know, get along in the world. But, and we know time's not real, and we're constantly merging timelines, and all the timelines exist. We know this, you know this. But I still find it helpful for right now, so many things are happening. Whoever's listening is not only hearing from their quantum, soul, spirit perspective, they're also hearing from their human perspective, their triggered perspective, their wounded perspective. Like there's so many versions of us existing right now. So I do
Mhm.
like to talk about timelines because I think that it can provide clarity and also provide empowerment to people when they're hearing, okay, so 20 years ago, that was your life. 5 years ago, even your life was unrecognizable. If you're anything like I know you are, a year ago, your life was unrecognizable. A month ago, probably your life was unrecognizable. Like we are timeline shifting, quantum leaping, doing the work all day, nonstop, constant alignment, constant attunement. And that's why the timeline merges and someone might look at you or they might look at me and be like, oh, they have it all. They're living the dream. They have it all. We are, and we do.
Yeah.
And we're choosing this constantly. So
Yes.
you've talked about quantum leaping a bit. I think we should kind of start riffing on that because that's something I specialize in too. And
Yeah.
I'd love to hear, can you share a little bit about like what a quantum leap is and how you would coach someone into quantum leaping something in their life?
Yeah, totally. And I also just realized, like, we've had since the time we met,
Yeah.
right? There were so many little synchronicities and signs. Just realized you've got unfuckable with, and
Yeah.
I've got unreasonable.
Yeah. I know. I noticed that when I came into your Riverside, I was like, oh, the unreasonable life studio and the
Yeah.
unfuckable life. Yeah, for anyone who's listening, like we don't really know each other. We just connected and we vibe. And we're like, you invited me to potentially come to your retreat and
Totally.
facilitate at your retreat. It's not working out of the timing, but like we just know. I feel like we're gonna get together in real life in
Mhm.
physical form. You'll come to Canada, I'll
Mhm.
come to California. I get an energy of like grounded power, and power attracts power. And when you're speaking with someone who's on a frequency of it's not even like the same frequency because you're just you and I'm just me, but we're fully ourselves that we can vibe really well. So
Yeah, that
I love
resonance
it.
is yeah, that resonance is massive. Okay. So let's dive into
Let's
quantum
go.
leap. Okay,
Yeah.
and then I want to hear all about the unfuckable.
Yeah.
So fuck
Unfuck with the bull.
unfuck with the bull. Yes, we don't want to be unfuckable.
No, we're definitely fuckable.
Definitely want to be fuckable. Okay, so quantum leap. I always define the quantum leap,
Yeah.
right? And this is not really for you, but this is for anybody listening because I know you're in this world. But a good definition of a quantum leap from a quantum physics perspective is like a particle that literally jumps from one layer into another layer,
Yeah.
right? And what I found really fascinating about this concept when I was really diving into this was the fact that a quantum leap actually does, for that particle to jump, that quantum jump does not require more work, does not require more work. And literally in quantum physics, it requires, quote unquote, it requires a different energetic state. So in order for you to time the jump the timeline, or in order for you to get to that next level or bring in the relationship or resonate with somebody like you and I have, It did not require work. Like I wasn't like, let me email her and let me do this and let's do that and let's push and let's make it happen. It was literally the beingness. It was literally the energetic field that brings in any kind of opportunity, whether it's a friendship, whether it's for work or for business or in a romantic relationship. So I always say there are two ingredients and four steps to a quantum leap, right? One being the two ingredients are the mechanics, right? You have to do certain things. Like if you want to be in a beautiful, sexy, flirty marriage for the rest of your life, there are certain things you got to do, right? And if you want to build a multi-seven-figure business, there's certain things you got to do. But also there's this energetic piece that's really, really important. And I used to think that energetics was 50-50, like 50% energetics, 50% mechanics. And now I'm like, no, it's 80% energetics and 20%, if even that, the mechanics of
Yeah,
the quantum leap, right?
totally. Oh, I love that you gave that background. And both of our audiences are obviously well versed in the quantum physics, but the way you described it is different than how my audience has heard it before. And I can describe it a little bit for your audience in a new way. And then all these little mergings will occur. One thing that I think I stick to, and you said it the same, but in different ways, is like the hologram doesn't influence the hologram. The
Mm-hmm.
field influences the hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So physicality doesn't influence physicality. It's consciousness that influences the physicality to then influence the physicality. So like what you said there, the 80-20, I love it because you're still, and this is why I speak to a lot of like the becoming energy because I'm super spiritual. I run wellness retreats, spiritual, like that's what I do. That's what we do. But we aren't denying the physical form. And I was even talking to the client this morning and she just wrote a book. She just got her first copy of it. And I was like, your legacy is now physical. And as physical beings, that physical, tangible result is so rewarding. It's so necessary for a full, flourishing life. And to believe that the this spiritual being having a human experience needs to completely untether from the physical, I think that's like on one level of consciousness. But once you've done that, then you can enter a new level of consciousness where you're like, I'm good no matter what. I'm completely untethered. I'm aware that I'm an infinite being. And I prefer to have these physical, beautiful things in my life. And I just get the sense that you live that and know that and teach that. And I think that's another reason you and I were attracted so much to each other is because we're not only teaching the quantum mechanics of what's happening within the consciousness and the fields that we can't really see. Some of us can see it, but we're merging it with that becoming energy. And there is that 20% of tangible work required. And then even that 80%, a lot of that being within the energy field, it's a lot of beingness. And beingness takes work when you've been conditioned, like all of us have, to be, to feel, to just exist. It takes work to feel safe doing that. And I know you speak a lot about the collapsing time and how I forget what your phrase is, but it's like 1 day in 1 month or 1 week.
Oh, 1 week a month.
1 week a month. So that's exactly this. It's like you're collapsing time so that the action you are taking is so potent that it creates the result within the physical realm. Can you speak to that a bit? Because it's definitely something that
I want to dive into this. I love what you said about this. So, we talked about 80% energetics and 20% mechanics, right? 80% being and then 20% the doing. But I loved what you said because you're saying that at a level of consciousness, like in the quantum, like whatever you are energetically a match for, then it is manifested in the 3D physical world, right? And even though, to kind of make it simple, I go 80% energetics, 20% mechanics. you really think about it, who you are being in your 80% consciousness, right? Your 80% of what you're putting out there in your energetic field actually determines your doing anyways. So in a
Mhm.
sense, it's really 100% just consciousness and nothing else. But if I say that and if I put that out there, people are like, what do you mean? I got to put up my feet on the couch and do nothing. Well, that's not the case, because you work on your energetics. You're going to want, you are inspired, you are moved by inspiration, you're moved by service, you're moved by love, and you'll move into the right mechanics, the aligned mechanics that are going to create the life and the relationship that, you know, that your heart desires.
Mhm.
So I love this conversation. And then yeah, collapsing time. All of it's kind of fits into this conversation. You know, I when I first started my first business, I was working beyond full time, or even if I
Mhm.
worked quote unquote part time, I was thinking and stressing about my business. I'm pretty much burnt out. I mean, I share my story pretty often, but coming from that and then learning the power of consciousness and the power of being and the power of energetics and the ability to collapse time to bring the things that I think of in the future into the present moment, which goes back to our initial conversation about how time is not a real construct, right? Like it's not linear in the way that we think. So learning how to collapse time to bring these things closer, or to take the kinds of actions that are coming from aligned energetics that will literally 10x and quantum leap. And so now to a point where, again, this is a 10-year process, right? It didn't happen overnight, but it did start with burnout. Then I go, how do I create a part-time 7-figure business? And then I multiplied that by 3. So it was always about, how do I do this in a short period of time and with doing less? And then now tapping into what it's like to run the business as the household, school my kids, and live bicontinentally and do all of these things, and yet have businesses and ways of generating profits that's unbelievable relative to the amount of time that I would put in, which is working in 1 week a month. But it has nothing to do with doing. It has, if anything, is doing less and becoming, as you described it, or being, or tapping into the energetics of the version of me who has the ability and the worthiness of
Mhm.
living a 1 week a month lifestyle. And that was
Yeah.
a lot of becoming.
Oh, yeah. And I love that we keep reminding everyone here listening that it isn't this overnight thing. And I feel genuinely like every single day I'm like born again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like every day there's these quantum leaps in identity and power. And the thing that I always preach about is just reclaiming power all the time. Like we're constantly, there's like, you don't have to do anything. I could just sit here all day and not move, and I would have an infinite opportunity to reclaim power. I would have a thought that would maybe be like, you're being lazy. And then how I would respond to that thought would be me either reclaiming power or disempowering myself. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like the thoughts that come in, the people that come into your life, the conversations, the experiences, there's this infinite opportunities to reclaim power. And people that are able to hold these 7-figure businesses and do it in a way, or multi 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, and do it in a way that their systems are genuinely, I don't want to say at ease, because my system's not at ease all the time, but I feel empowered in my system. So when I feel an expansion in my nervous system, I'm like, I got this. This is good. This is safe. Thank you. As opposed to, this is too scary. I'm going to go back into my shell. It's like, whoo, I can do this. It's childbirth. It's like, I'm bigger, I'm more powerful. I'm 10, 12, 15 feet tall in my power now. And it's that constant ability to expand consciousness and expand physical. And that's the thing about this physical realm. It's, we chose to be here.
Yeah.
We chose this. And life is choosing us constantly. And that's why we're still here, and we're still here. And you will enter, you're there, I'm here, and we're, it just gonna keep getting better. And you will enter realms where it does feel like 99% of the time you're just like, I'm so grateful to be here. And that is, I think I used to chase success. I used to chase metrics all the time. And now I'm just like experiencing that soul merge of I'm alive, I'm here. And that, as someone who has had a near death experience within the last year and a half, there's no greater gift than to open your eyes. I also facilitate a lot of people in journey and transmission, and the escapism is so real of wanting to escape where you are. A lot of people, when they're in some sort of hypnotic transmission, if it gets uncomfortable because they need to go there to transmute, they want to escape that. I want to be back in my body. And then they're in their body and it's I want to get back into the ethers. So it's just this settle into where you are. And Nona and I haven't spoken too much about my story, but Nona shared a lot about her story of you have achieved these great things and you didn't do it in an energy of I'm not worthy if I don't. I'm not good enough if I don't. And I find myself more and more coaching people on can you be so good right here while still knowing that that timeline exists and is genuinely guaranteed for you 100%, but can you love where you are? So 5 years ago when you're going through that divorce and it's a hard moment, can you love yourself in that challenging moment versus wishing you were with your new fiance now? It's just that like, no, I'm here. It's uncomfortable, but I'm here. It's temporary. Okay. I'm out of it now. Oh, I've met my love of my life. Oh, we're engaged. Oh, we're getting married. Oh, we're traveling the world together. Being there versus escaping because of the multiple timelines that are constantly existing, the potentialities are always just oscillating. And most people, I want this wealth, I want this love, I want this body, I want this opportunity, whatever. They quantum leap there because they want it and they hang out there for a moment and then they just drop. The thing is that time, pardon?
Or they burn out like I did.
Or they burn out.
I built my initial success from scarcity.
Yeah.
I built it brick by brick, and I built something that was quote unquote successful, right? On paper, looked really good, but it was all built on scarcity. And I could have built more, but I really, it was, you burn out in the process, or you drop off like you're talking about.
Yeah, you either drop off consciously, like you're consciously dropping off, or you're subconsciously dropping off, but there's a drop off if it's not actually who you are and it's not actually that beingness and that embodiment of like I'm good here, it's safe for me to work 1 week a month. I'm worthy of working 1 week a month. It's safe for me to invest in these things I want to invest in and not just do it once and then retract my energy, but keep doing it, staying in that overflow, staying in that consciousness.
And finding safety in it too.
Finding safety,
Finding safety, finding ease, finding, like you said, for you, it's like empowerment. I have been working on finding ease as I build, or as I'm in the relationship, or as I'm, where can I find ease in my body right now?
Yeah.
Even though there is discomfort, right?
And that's exactly that. Like, do you resonate with that expansion? Like that feeling of just like, we're small fit women, but we feel like I feel like I'm a giant. Like I feel so big in my energy all the time. And I'm just like, this is a good feeling. And it's like speaking to the relationship thing, like I've been in a relationship with my soulmate for almost 13 years, and we have become so many different iterations of who we are together. And there's no days off conscious communication. There's no days off letting my ego, like leaving it at the door. There's no days off partnership and union. There's no days off devotion to I choose you. And that you're just going to keep getting more powerful in love. And it's the same thing with business or career or finances. Same thing with parenthood, motherhood. Like, your life is going to keep getting bigger.
Yes.
Can you
And
hold it?
there's no de-evolution in human processing. There is no de-evolution. We're all going to evolve. Now you get to choose, like you said, moment by moment. I'm going to claim my power. So you get to choose as I evolve in this process, because it's not, you can't avoid it. You're going to evolve. Either the universe will throw things at you that's going to help you evolve, or you choose, you put in the intention, you reclaim your power, you reclaim ease, you reclaim love, you reclaim service. And in that process, you get to choose your experience literally moment by moment. But the evolution is going to happen. Will you have it with joy and love and awareness and consciousness, or are you going to go through this process with pain? Both of them are options.
Yes, 100%.
So, okay, tell me about your, I don't know about your life and death experience. Tell
Oh,
me about,
yeah.
yeah, tell me what unfuckwithable means to you also. Give us a real breakdown. What's going on?
So when I wrote Unfuckwithable, this came out before my near-death experience. I'm actually currently writing a second book right now. And Unfuckwithable was written from a foundation of the dimension of openness, which is a choice of consciousness, which is there is no separation. And you know what I mean. So I won't spend too much time going there, but Unfuckwithable was written from that foundation. There's an entire chapter on it.
Mhm.
The To be unfuckwithable, I have so many different definitions. I get asked, I do a lot of book signings and a lot of speaking, and I get that question a lot, and I have a different answer every single time, because that's what I love about the word. It
Yeah.
means so many different things. Like, it's not this superficial, egotistical, combative energy that I think a lot of people, I notice because I talk to hundreds, thousands of people a year at book signings, and some people, it's not even like, oh, they misinterpret it. 'Cause it's like, it's not mine to decide how they interpret it. They're having their life.
You know
But
what's interesting? Sorry to interrupt, but I feel
yeah,
like this is right on point. When you when you went that route, it's so interesting because my conscious didn't even see it that way. Like my
yeah,
consciousness didn't see it as a place of ego, or like unfuckwithable as in like a place of like
yeah,
this
combative.
place of power. But you're right, it has to, like, it's read, obviously the book and the title and your intention in the book and the content of the book is going to resonate with whoever, they're at the frequency with which it will resonate. But it's
Totally.
interesting that I did not even cross my mind. I was like,
Because you're in
I
a
was,
different, yeah, you're in a higher frequency, a higher consciousness of love and oneness. And sometimes I will just say to people, being unfuckwithable is the energy of, I love myself so much and I love you so much because we are one. That's what I will just break it down to. Because, and then if someone's like, oh yeah, I am unfuckable, and they start to kind of go into it from like an ego place, but also like, good for them, they're owning their frequency.
yeah,
And I get so excited when they buy the book, because I know that they're gonna
like
learn,
that message.
they're gonna expand. So who I was when I wrote the book, this book wasn't written from personal life experience. This book was channeled. So I do direct channeling. The whole book's channeled. Like, you'll read it. I've had a 95-year-old man be like, you're the most brilliant person I've ever met. This is insane. Because it's not Haley, it's consciousness moving through Haley. That being said, like, when I go back and read it, it's so funny having a book. Like, I go back and read it and I'm like, did I write that? Like, it's just that, like, was that me? Because that's the whole thing about timelines. When you're in a timeline, in a consciousness, the information floods through, and I was the conduit to bring it into the earth plane. And then when my ego gets involved, I look at it and I go, oh, there's things I would have wrote different, or things I would have said different, or, because I just am without even my like consciousness, I just am an unfuckwithable person. And I always have been since I was little. Like, I was just that person that was so happy all the time. I was so joyful. And to me, that is unfuckwithable. It's like, you're not raining on my parade. I'm good over here. And that's just who I was. And even my sister and I laugh about this, because as I started gaining success in my first year of business, and unapologetically owning that, because that's just what I do and who I've honestly always been, I would start to get like haters.
Mm.
And I remember talking about it with my sister, and I was like, oh, it's so crazy. I have like haters now because I just never have. And she was like, oh, Haley, like you had haters in high school, you had haters now. Like I just didn't even know because I was so unfuckwithable. And I was like, interesting. And then on another level of consciousness, it's like we're all one. So they're not even real. They're just fragments of me anyway. So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation. But when I had my near death experience, I totally was burnt out. It was like my body was whispering, 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 and then it just screamed, and it put me down literally. It was a
Mm.
heart event, and it was similar to a stroke, but it wasn't a stroke. But that's like all the symptoms and the testing looked like, oh, she's had a big stroke. But
Okay.
when they actually did, I had the best specialists and everything in the electrocardio unit in Toronto, and it turns out that I have this genetic condition of a short-circuited heart, and
Mm.
I have a rapid electrical current, but my blood pressure and my heart rate and everything's low.
Mm.
But sometimes it connects with each other and it creates this cardiac event. So that's what happened to me. It's never happened again. I don't think it will ever need to happen again because I got the medicine I needed, which was what, like, the vision's the same, but how I was going at the vision could not
Mm.
go on. Like the vision is the vision, but the
Okay.
direction too.
Break this down. Break this part down. Because
Yeah.
what was was it like your energy behind it, your mindset behind it? Was it how you perceived it? Because you're saying the vision was the same. What was the approach before and after?
So it's at every level, it's like new levels, new devils, and at higher levels, the the resistance, the blocks, the wounds, they're so much more sneaky, right? They're so much more sneaky. So on the outside looking in, I was in full alignment. I had a healthy, beautiful body, healthy, thriving relationship, healthy, thriving friendships, the best family. I would go to yoga every day. I would take care of my body. I was eating all, like, everything was great. My business was thriving and I was doing it in alignment. Like at the end of the day, I'm 31. I was like, my late 20s was me building my business in alignment. I graduated uni and I was like, I'm not working for anyone. I'm unfuckable. I'm doing my own thing. So like compared to most people, I was very aligned. Compared to most people, I was very attuned. Compared to most people, like I'm thriving. But
Yeah.
I don't compare myself to most people. I compare myself to my highest self.
Mm.
And I wasn't being my highest self because there were very, very sneaky not enoughness layers and not enoughness wounds at play. So
Okay.
there was the I am worthy of this success when I work for it.
Mm-hmm.
I am I knew my vision. It's my, like, the destiny. It's not even a vision, it's a calling. It's not even a choice. It's just like I just know.
Yeah.
That was so glaring and it was so exciting for me that I just fucking balls to the wall. We're going for it, you know? Like I just went for it. And I love that about myself. I'm proud of myself for being badass like that. But there were so many times when healers, therapists, people that I really respect in my life that would be like, you're doing a lot. Like you're doing too much. Like my mom, who's a therapist, she would, and she's a channel and psychic and she owns a retreat center. Like I was raised with this
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. And she was just like, her medicine to me was always like you're doing enough, like settle down, like you're doing enough. And I would let myself, and I have a whole chapter on my book called The Art of Receiving. I would let myself receive in ways that felt powerful. Like I would let myself receive intimately, sexually, pleasure, but I wouldn't let myself be so vulnerable. I wouldn't let myself break down. I wouldn't let myself need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, have support in my business and things. And I would go for massages and I would do all those things and get support those ways. But I wasn't genuinely at the root. Like I wasn't going where I needed to go to the core,
Yeah.
which was like, you don't have to do it all alone. Like,
Yeah.
you're not alone. And then when source, God, consciousness, my expanded infinite self stepped in that way and put me on the ground, I can tell you it was the most euphoric experience ever and painful. But it was like, I needed this. Thank you. I know what this is. Like, I remember being in the hospital just being like, I know what this all is. Like, the doctors are freaking out. It's all a whole thing. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there like
I
smiling. Like,
got
I'm
it.
like, I know what this is. You get it.
Yeah,
So
you were like, I got it. I understand. I received the message.
I get it.
I hear you.
And then the best part was I got a concussion because I collapsed to the floor. Like, I went unconscious standing up. So the best part of all of this was that I got a concussion because I actually had to do nothing because it was a pretty intense concussion. Like, I was lying in bed in the dark and I like had no choice. I couldn't be on my phone. I couldn't work. Because if it was just a heart event, I felt so good coming back, honestly. Like, I was like, phew, that was a fucking restart. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, boom, I'm back. But then my body was like, whoa, no, you're not. And it was like bruising all down my body, the insane concussion. And then like days after, like to have your heart stop and to be like unconscious for a couple minutes, like, and then to come back, it's a spiritual awesome experience, but like physically it hurt. Like, it's hard. Like, you feel like you're like 150 years old. So I was so grateful for that aftermath because I needed to ask for help. I needed to do nothing. I literally needed to ask for financial help from my fiance. I need to maintain my lifestyle. I needed to ask because I wasn't working. I took time off.
Sure.
I needed to ask for like support, and so much deep healing happened with my family too. I was always the one that had her shit together. Like, I was like high performing all the time at everything. And I now was the one who was like, who am I? What is life? Like, I
Yeah.
need help. And it just like, it was like I got beat down. It was like, we're going to get it out of you. You know how like plant medicine does it to people? I got it in like this way. And it was like, you're going to be vulnerable and you're going to be okay.
Okay, so this was in some way, and if this doesn't resonate, you can skip it, but it sounds like an initiation of,
Totally.
and
It
I don't
was.
know if you relate to this, but for every time that I've had something like this, an initiation that has initiated me into the next level, almost I could say every single time for me personally, and even when I look at other people's experiences, almost every single time, it is something not just that they needed or that I needed in that moment, but I literally asked for it. Maybe I didn't ask for like a concussion and a heart, and a
No.
heart condition and this, and I didn't know how it was going to come, but I asked for the initiation, not
Oh,
directly, but more like remove what's in the way. Like, I do this prayer all the time, which is remove what's in the way, and or I'm ready, because it's scary to go ahead, initiate me, like take me to the next level, because
oh,
you know what's going to happen, and you're not asking for a concussion
I'm not
at
asking for her to stop, but you're
yeah,
so you're so bang on. This is exactly so 2 weeks before I have a whole podcast episode on it and I get interviewed on the near death a lot. So go
yeah,
find those resources, whoever's listening. But 2 weeks before, I prayed down at the lake. I remember I was like, Dear God, I need a change. I need a change. I was like, I was on my knees.
yeah,
2 weeks to the day later, which was literally 1 week into my Saturn return, to the peak
yeah.
of my Saturn return, I die and come back.
Well,
Like,
there you go.
it was an initiation and I asked for it.
Yeah,
And the best part about having a near death like that, or even if you don't have a near death, like, because that's very rare, I realize, but the best part of just being brave in your life is you're doing every day, remove what's in the way. That
hmm,
is so brave. And that's how we ought to live our life if we want to live a life of our dreams,
yeah,
because it requires way more power, way more courage, way more
way more
energy,
way more trust, like,
trust, and surrender. But life expedites. That's the quantum leaping, being
yeah,
so willing to be uncomfortable for the temporary moment and
yeah.
being like, that was amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
like, I realized how scared I was of things before. And now I'm just not scared of them in the same way. And I think anyone who's quantum leaping regularly, consciously or unconsciously, is like, you get less scared and you go.
Yeah. And I think in your case, you had this, you come face to face with your own mortality, literally. And I think for someone who's listening, because I know this could be a thought. Well, I haven't had a near death. It's like I have to have something like this? No, you can come face to face with your mortality right now. You
Yeah.
could literally think about how fragile life is and how we only get one chance right now in this lifetime, at least that we know of, and how short life is and how limited time you have. I mean, I think that's a superpower to always come face to face with your mortality.
Yeah.
And so it makes you brave. It makes you trust. It makes you like none of the stupid, silly things of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year matter anymore. And you're more likely to jump. You're more likely to
Mm-hmm.
jump in trust and jump with in love and jump in surrender and all of that in bravery.
Yeah, the door is open. Like the door is open, you can fly out. You're not in a cage. Like it's just, and I know it takes practice to do it, but just start today with like a small something that's a little edgy. I have a chapter in my book called The Edge of Evolution. It's like
Mm.
seeking out edges. And not in like a weird or like irresponsible way, but like play at your edge, people. Like it's the
Totally.
edge of an evolution. So seek out the edge. And I do it all the time. Like I do it with everything. Like I do it with money. I do it with love. I do it with conversations. I do it all the time. And I can play way bigger than I'm playing for sure. Like I'm not perfect, but seek out your edge and
Seek out your edge. I
only
love
be
that.
good.
Yeah, and I do that too. And there's always more to the edge in every area. And you said not in an irresponsible way. I don't recommend this to anybody, but I have even pushed the edge in so many. That's a whole nother podcast. But
We need to have another one.
we do. We're gonna come back to this. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, we'll have another conversation. We'll do a part two to this whole conversation because I
We'll
feel
do
like we
part
just
two.
got started.
So good. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy we sat down for this. We could go on for days, years, forever. And we'll do another part two virtually. We'll get together in real life. I want everyone in my community to know you because
Same.
it was an instant like, oh, I see her. She's
Yeah, same.
powerful.
Same. I
So
felt the same way. That's why we were like, let's do it in person. We can hang out. But this is perfect and we'll have something really fun coming up.
I
Well,
can't
good
wait.
luck to everything that you're gonna do. I know I want my people to go to at least your Instagram, but where else should they go? And where should we find you?
Yeah, go to my Instagram, go to my website. So I'm Haley Bowler-Cooke, but I'm the founder and CEO of Uplift Lifestyle Incorporated. So my podcast is Uplift Lifestyle Podcast. My book is Unfuckwithable.
Not
My
to clarify, not unfuckable. We all want to fuck with.
Unfuckwithable.
Yes.
Unfuckwithable. Unfuckwithable. Yeah, so go to my website, upliftlifestyle.ca. So I'm in Canada, so it's .ca, not .com. And even if you just type in my name, Haley, Haley, Bowler, Bowler -Cooke, you'll find all my stuff. And what about you? How can my people come see you? And I'll link things for sure in the show notes.
Yeah, same. I'll do the same thing, but on Instagram is usually where I hang out, and I love a personal connection. So if anybody wants to just like send me a DM and be like, "Hey, I heard you on the podcast with Haley," you could just type in my name, Nona Djavid, Nona Djavid. And if you really are into these concepts, I have a 90-minute training that I'm happy to send out to anybody on how to quantum leap, the 4 steps of a quantum leap.
Ooh,
This was so fun.
this
We're
was
gonna
so
do
good.
it again.
We'll do it again. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you.
Same.
Thank you.
Love you
Thank
too,
you.
girlfriend. See you soon.
Mwah.